Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into a really compelling political story. It's the journey of the Indian National Congress.
Hmm.
Now, this is a party that once, well, it basically stood as an absolute giant in Indian politics,
Hmm.
leading the independence movement, governing for decades afterward.
Absolutely dominant.
Exactly. Yet, fast forward to recent years, and it finds itself in, frankly, a profound struggle, just trying to stay relevant.
It's a huge shift.
So, okay, let's unpack this. What actually happened here? Was it just about, leadership changes? Or is there something much deeper, more systemic going on?
That's the core question, isn't it?
Our mission today is to trace this long, winding history. We want to pinpoint those critical moments, the factors that really shaped its current standing. Focusing on the ultimate outcomes of these developments, we want to help you understand the complex why behind it all.
That's right. And what's fascinating here is just how deeply the story of Congress is woven into the story of modern India itself. You almost can't separate them. We're talking about a truly dramatic transformation. I mean, from the party that spearheaded independence to, well, now facing these almost existential challenges, the outcomes of its past actions and its current struggles, they're still shaping India today.
Absolutely. And to really get a handle on where it is now, we have to go back. Right back to the beginning.
To the roots.
The Indian National Congress, founded way back in 1885. And interestingly, it wasn't actually revolutionary at first. Its initial goal was quite pragmatic, really.
Yeah, more about working within the system.
Exactly. Representing Indian voices within the British colonial framework, not trying to overthrow it initially.
But that didn't last, did it? That sort of initial approach.
No, not at all. Over time, especially with leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, Subhash Chandra Bose, so many iconic figures, Congress became the undeniable face of India's freedom struggle.
Those key movements.
Right? Gandhi's movements, non-cooperation, the Salt March, Quit India. These weren't just protests. They were huge defining moments. They gave Congress immense moral, political authority, and ultimately that led to independence.
It's a massive outcome of that entire struggle.
And then, post-1947, India is independent. Congress naturally steps into the role of the ruling party.
Right.
Under Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first PM, leading until 64. That's when India really set its course. Modernization, a kind of socialist economy, non-alignment in foreign policy, foundational stuff.
And after Nehru, his daughter Indira Gandhi, she took over. Her leadership style was, well, definitely bold, but also quite controversial.
The emergency period comes to mind.
Exactly, 1975 to 77, very contentious. And then later her assassination in 1984, a profound shock with huge political consequences. It directly brought her son, Rajiv Gandhi, into the political spotlight.
Rajiv Gandhi, he was often seen as sort of a modernizer, wasn't he?
Tech and telecom reforms, things like that, lasting positive impacts on infrastructure.
But his time also ended tragically, assassinated in 1991.
Yeah. Another huge blow.
What's really striking, though, even with these immense leadership challenges, these terrible losses, the party still held on to power for years after that.
Through other leaders, right, like P.D. Narasimha Rao, Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Precisely. It just shows the resilience, the deep roots that legacy had. It could navigate incredibly tough times.
That long period of dominance, it built this incredible institutional presence, everywhere. And that emotional connection from the freedom struggle.
It makes the recent outcomes, the recent struggles, feel even more stark. Not just surprising, but like a real rupture in Indian politics.
Indeed. Which brings us to the next phase, the signs of decline.
That's where we really see a major shift. Think about the period from 1996 to 2004. Congress was largely out of power nationally.
Yeah, that was a big deal after decades of being the party.
A significant outcome showing the political landscape was changing.
And then, 2004, kind of an unexpected twist, wasn't it?
It really was. Congress surprised a lot of people, formed the government again. Dr. Manmohan Singh as PM, Sonia Gandhi as Congress president. Yeah. A comeback after nearly a decade out.
But even though they were back in power, you could sort of sense problems brewing under the surface.
Definitely. We started seeing major scandals erupt. The 2G scam, the Commonwealth Games issues, Colgate. Big headlines.
Huge controversies. And those allegations of a remote-controlled PM, that narrative really stuck.
It did. It seriously tarnished the party's image, eroded public trust. You felt this growing disillusionment. The net outcome was negative, despite being in government.
And it's around this time that Rahul Gandhi starts becoming more prominent within the parties, quite quickly, actually.
Despite, some early perceptions maybe about struggles with public speaking or strategic clarity.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting, this contrast. They're back in power, surprisingly. But internally, the seeds of future problems, future negative outcomes, they were already being sown.
A very telling period looking back. You could almost see the cracks starting to appear even while they held power.
Definitely foreshadowing what was to come.
And then came the big one, the turning point, the 2014 general election.
A truly defining moment.
Absolutely. Narendra Modi leading the BJP just swept to power. A historic mandate, clear majority.
And Congress.
The outcome for Congress was devastating. Reduced to just 44 seats, their worst performance ever. A total collapse, really.
And a lot of the blame, fairly or unfairly, was directed at Rahul Gandhi.
That was certainly the dominant narrative for many analysts. That specific outcome, that number 44, was tied very closely to him.
Yeah, the perception was that he seemed disconnected, maybe unprepared, inconsistent. And that created doubt among voters about Congress's ability to lead.
You remember the specific criticisms?
Oh, yeah. Things like poor parliamentary attendance records being highlighted, interviews where he perhaps struggled for clarity. These things, whether completely accurate or amplified, they definitely impacted public perception. That was a tangible outcome.
And compare that to the BJP's message at the time.
Well, the BJP had a very clear Hindutva nationalist line, combined with a strong development promise. Congress, arguably, struggled. Their message felt vaguer, less sharp.
Yeah, like what was their compelling vision for a modernizing India at that point? It wasn't always clear.
And the dynasty perception, too. Many saw him as inheriting power, not earning it. That played a role.
Plus that whole Papu narrative.
Right, that derogatory nickname, meaning sort of naive or immature, pushed hard by opponents, media sections, social media. It really stuck, whether it was fair or not. And that absolutely shaped public opinion, contributed to that poor electoral outcome.
And this pattern, sadly for Congress, it largely continued into 2019.
Despite some efforts, to change things up, refine the strategy.
They only got 52 seats. Still historically low. Again, the perception was that Rahul Gandhi couldn't really match Modi's appeal or narrative strength at that time.
And the direct outcome of that 2019 defeat, Rahul Gandhi resigned as party president.
Which, ironically, created this huge leadership vacuum, something the party still seems to be grappling with.
Exactly. So when you look at the electoral outcomes of 2014 and 2019 and the factors linked to Rahul Gandhi's leadership and image during that time, it really highlights a critical and very negative period for Congress.
It wasn't just one thing, was it?
No, definitely not. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it was a mix. Public image, strategic choices, maybe missteps, and how all that was perceived externally, all leading to those electoral results.
So this brings us to a deeper level of analysis. Beyond just one person, what are the systemic issues here? Why these negative outcomes? It's important to say the struggles weren't solely down to Rahul Gandhi.
Absolutely not. There are deep internal structural problems within Congress itself.
Like the overdependence on one family.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
And related to that, a lack of genuine internal democracy, that whole high command culture people talk about.
Can you explain that a bit? The high command culture.
Sure. It basically means decision-making power is super centralized, right at the very top, often with, an unelected family member or a small, closed group of advisors, rather than through elected party bodies or feedback from the ground level.
And the outcome of that structure.
Well, we've seen the result. Many prominent, talented leaders have just quit the party out of frustration.
You're talking about people like Himanta Biswa Sarma.
Right, who's now a BJP chief minister, or Jyotiraditya Scindia, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Kapil Sibal, experienced figures who left.
Their departures really signal a major consequence, don't they? The party struggles to keep its talent, struggles to build new leadership from within.
It's like imagine a company where the best people keep leaving because all the decisions are made somewhere else, disconnected from reality. That kind of frustration, it drains the party's potential.
So this raises an important question. Can a party with such deep-rooted structural issues actually recover? Can it reverse these negative outcomes?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? Is there a path back?
Well, there was one recent initiative that got a lot of attention, the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
The Unite India March, 2022-23. That was Rahul Gandhi leading a massive walk across the country.
A very bold move, physically demanding. The aim was unity, pushing back against division.
And it did seem to help him reconnect, didn't it? Especially with younger people. It might have shifted his personal image somewhat, perhaps a potentially positive outcome for him personally.
But is that enough? Enough to change the party's overall trajectory.
That's the big question mark. Most analysts seem to agree Congress needs way more than just one successful march, however impressive.
Like what? What's needed for a lasting positive outcome?
Well, probably fresh leadership, maybe looking beyond just the one family, a really clear vision that clicks with today's voters, smart alliances with other opposition parties, and crucially,
Grassroots connection.
exactly, a strong, vibrant grassroots movement, something that goes way beyond just the top leadership in Delhi, real organization on the ground.
And we also have to look at the bigger picture, the context Congress operates in now.
Indian politics today is just dominated by the BJP. They're a formidable force.
But it's not just BJP versus Congress anymore, is it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
You've got strong regional players, TMC in Bengal, AAP in Delhi and Punjab, DMK down south in Tamil Nadu, BJD in Odisha. They're all major forces challenging both national parties. It's a much more fragmented picture.
Creating a really complex electoral map.
And maybe the most crucial factor for future outcomes. The voter is changing.
How so?
Younger demographics, more aspirational, incredibly connected digitally, and significantly less attached to old political dynasties. Their priorities are different.
So the bottom line for Congress.
Look, if they don't manage a fundamental transformation, addressing these deep structural issues, finding a way to genuinely connect with this new electorate, the risk of just fading into irrelevance, it's very real. The potential outcome is stark.
And that really brings us towards the end of this deep dive. It's quite a story, isn't it? From its origins.
Yeah.
As a voice within British India.
To the face of the freedom movement.
Decades of near total dominance. And now, these current struggles. The story of Congress really does mirror India's own complex journey. We've tried to focus on those key developments, the outcomes at each stage, and the path that led there.
And the role of Rahul Gandhi in all this, well, his legacy is definitely still being written. You have the critics pointing to those past election results, those negative outcomes. And then you have some hopefuls, looking perhaps at things like the Yatra, thinking about future possibilities for the party.
It leaves us with a big question.
Can Congress truly be revived? What do you, listening to this, think? What are the key factors that will determine its future outcomes? Is a comeback possible?
Definitely something to think about. We encourage you to keep exploring this fascinating and incredibly important topic. Thanks for diving deep with us today.